There it is! Oh man, it's the S.O.B south of the border. After a nearly 9-hour journey, we finally made it. Oh, I've been wanting to come to this place for so long. So you're probably wondering why, of all places, a tacky little Mexican-themed tourist trap out in the middle of nowhere, why would this be a place on my bucket list, a place that I've always wanted to go to? Well, you'll just have to watch the video to find out, because this is a piece of history that ought to be remembered.
Todos saben lo que va a pasar. Morena, esa morena linda, se vuelve loca cuando alguien la invita a bailar. Ay, mi morena. Ya la bala, vaya, bala, la, la, la. Se le a la.
Want to see more awesome videos just like this one? All you have to do is click the join button below this video and you'll gain access to extra weekly content and so much more. Thank you for joining and supporting the future of video. Grab your favorite snack, sit back, and relax, because this is going to be quite a long video, because I wanted to thoroughly, and I mean thoroughly, document this place, get every little detail of this place. And there's a good reason for that, which I will explain later on in the video. But our first stop is going to be here at the Myrtle Beach shop. Now, I found it kind of odd that they had a Myrtle Beach shop way over here. I mean, I guess we're really not that far from Myrtle Beach, only about an hour away. But they had something really cool inside, including this neon no smoking sign. Like, really? Wow, that's so dated. Now, when I visited the Myrtle Beach shop, it was pretty dead. There was no one in there. I believe I was the only person inside, which was kind of sad. It made me really feel like, uh-oh, this place might be in big trouble. So if you're into touristy knick-knack type things, this was a great place to visit. They had a good number of things. I do collect some things, like every time I go to a place, I want to get something that I can put in my museum to remember the place by, especially if it's historic. OMG, I should have gotten one of these Myrtle Beach shirts. It was super cool, but I was like, no, I really want to wait until I actually go to Myrtle Beach. So the mascot for south of the border is Pedro, and you will see him literally everywhere and on everything, like here on these flip-flops. Now, I don't really understand why people put designs on the bottom of flip-flops like that. Your feet are going to cover them up, and it just doesn't make any sense. Plus, it'll just wear off. Pedro's Myrtle Beach shop has this humongous shark inside, and I know I had footage of it, but for some reason it's missing, so that's why you're seeing these photos here. Now it's time to head on over to the main gift shop. Well, there's actually two main gift shops, but this is the first one that you'll want to visit because it's got that iconic sign out front. The first thing you'll notice when entering this gift shop is just how large it is, and if you're looking for that perfect, one-of-a-kind souvenir to take with you to remember your trip to south of the border, you'll more than likely find it here, and if you don't, well, there's always the second gift shop. So as I take you around to show you everything this gift shop has to offer, let's go over the history of south of the border. In 1949, a man by the name of Alan Schaefer founded a beer stand called the Border Depot. It got its name because of its approximate location to the border of South and North Carolina. With the success of the beer stand, Allen would go on in 1950 to create South of the Border. At first, he would begin selling Mexican trinkets and kitsch items imported from Mexico. By 1954, the site itself had expanded quite a bit, including a cocktail lounge, gas station, souvenir shop, and motel. In 1962, south of the border would see the addition of a fireworks store. Alan had seen great potential in the fireworks store due to the fact that just across the border over in North Carolina, fireworks were still illegal. So now people could drive just south of the border into South Carolina and purchase fireworks. Up until 1964, Route 501 was the main road that went right through south of the border, but that was about to change. Because in 1964, it was announced that the new I-95 would pass right by south of the border. It would include 2 exits and be within view of the interstate, so everyone passing down I-95 could see the awesome thing that is south of the border. By the mid-1960s, south of the border was booming. It had expanded to include a barber shop, drugstore, variety store, post office, outdoor go-kart track complete with outdoor recreational facilities, and the 104-foot-tall image of the mascot Pedro. Okay, well, it was more like a statue. One thing that's synonymous with south of the border are the many billboards stretching up and down the interstates for hundreds of miles. If you've ever traveled down the I-95 corridor through North and South Carolina, then I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. You may have seen these billboards. Throughout the years, these billboards had messages that some considered racist and offensive. Of course, they were changed over time to become tamer, but still retaining the same tongue-in-cheek tone. Schaefer would deny the fact that his attraction was anything but racist, as he was known for hiring African Americans and even helping them to vote and standing up to the Ku Klux Klan. Today, about 300 people, mostly locals, work at south of the border, but at one time there were around 700 working there, and it was the largest employer in Dillon County, South Carolina. So where did Pedro the mascot come from? Well, initially Schaefer would only use sombreros and serapes in his advertisements for south of the border. But when Schaefer was on a business trip to Mexico, he had hired 2 Mexicans as bellboys, and people began calling them Pedro and Pancho. This would eventually lead to the creation of Pedro as the mascot. Schaefer began creating an extravagant cartoon-like representation of a Mexican bandit to add to the exotic element and theme of the attraction. And thus, Pedro the mascot was born. Now that we've gone over the history of south of the border, here's why this place was on the top of my bucket list, and you're probably still scratching your head because it's a very, very tacky tourist trap that is kind of in a state of decline, and it's very, very sad to see it like this. So I follow the YouTuber Carpetbagger, mainly just so I can see all the cool places he goes to and then put them on my bucket list, because he discovers some pretty unique places that I'm like, whoa, I didn't know that existed. Anyways, I saw some of his earlier videos on this place, and comparing it to when I went, you can definitely see the decline. I don't know, for those of you that have followed my channel for quite some time, you'll already know that I just love things that are retro, things that have like neon in it, just these tourist destinations like this, because you don't see too many of them anymore. And I was just so thrilled to get to document this place. And with finances being so tight right now, I don't know if I'll ever make it back to south of the border or not. But I'm going to have a positive attitude and say one day I'll make it back to south of the border on my way to Myrtle Beach, which is also on my bucket list. And again, I know it's another tacky place that a lot of people say don't waste your time going to, but I just kind of want to experience it because everyone has been there, and, you know, it's just one of those places you gotta go and see for yourself. So that's going to end the tour of this gift shop. I will say that between both of the gift shops, they do have a lot of the same items, but it is definitely worthwhile taking a thorough look through both of them. And again, you'll notice a lot of these items you can tell have just been sitting on the shelf for probably a few decades. So when you purchase something from one of these gift shops, it's almost like you're just picking up a piece of history. This was a very cool sign that I thought I'd check out just before heading into the next gift shop. Welcome to the Mexico Shop West, and if you're short on time and can only choose between visiting one of the gift shops, I'd probably visit this one before visiting the other one. It's located directly across the main road from the gift shop we just took a look at.
Mamita linda, te estoy invitando a mi fiesta. bailar, por eso tienes que comprender que el ritmo nunca se para, se sigue hasta el amanecer. Ahora te invito a bailar, mami, que no hay más nada. Seguimos siempre gozando, vamos para allá. Anda, vamos a gozar, mamita. Eso es. Oye, mamita linda, te estoy invitando a mi fiestón. Escucha mi salsa buena, mi guaracha y el rico son. Oye, mamita linda, te estoy invitando a mi fiestón. Escucha mi salsa buena y mi guaracha y el rico son. ¡Mambo! Escucha el rico son. Suena mis trombones. Escucha el rico son. ¡Súbelo otra vez! Escucha el rico son. Escucha el rico son. Eso, rompe el cuero. Pongo cero. Ajá. Rómpelo. Vamos a gozar. ¡Ja! Ay, la música te llena. Baila mi salsa buena. Ahora yo te invito a mi rumbo, mamá. Baila mi rigozón. Mira. Ay, quiero una vida sin problema. Baila mi salsa buena. Baila, baila, rigozón, mi nena. Baila mi rigozón. Estoy cantando pa' ti, escucha mi serena. Baila mi salsa buena. Porque tú sabes que tengo el don, que tengo el don, mi nena. Vaya, anda. Eso es. Sube, 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 sube. Ah, eso. Ajá. Eso, qué rico es, qué rico es. Ajá. Oye, mamita linda, te estoy invitando a mi fiestón. Escucha mi salsa buena y mi guaracha y el rico son. Oye, mamita linda, te estoy invitando a mi fiestón. Escucha mi salsa buena y mi guaracha y el rico son.
Okay, so this section of the store just kind of took me by surprise. They had this interesting little coin pusher here, which we're taking a look at. But beyond the coin pusher, there was like this small little room, and I ventured into it, and it was like Christmas stuff. And I was just like, Christmas stuff at a Mexican-themed tourist trap, tourist destination, whatever you want to call this place. It was just very, very strange. One thing you have to do when you visit south of the border is visit the Sombrero Tower and Arcade. This 200-foot tall Sombrero Tower offers some pretty awesome views of the surrounding area. You take an elevator ride all the way to the top, and it wasn't really all that expensive. I can't remember off the top of my head how much it was, and I'm sure prices are subject to change, so that probably really won't matter if you're visiting in the future. But you can see here in this clip the elevator going up and down. Just awesome, awesome place. Although one thing I will note is the lack of maintenance, and that's not to say that this is a dangerous attraction, it's not, but things like it could use a fresh coat of paint on the sombrero up at the top. A lot of the neon is burnt out and not functioning correctly. You can definitely tell that they're kind of hurting for money and they're just not getting the tourist traffic that they once did. So let's head inside the Sombrero Tower and Arcade for some awesome views. Okay, so I don't know how up to date this map is because I noticed a lot of the things on this map didn't seem to exist. Maybe they did and it was just sort of off season because I was visiting in September. But like I didn't see the train. There's just quite a few things where I was like, where was that at? After visiting the Sombrero Tower, I decided to kind of drive around this area of south of the border just to see all the attractions that were over here. There was the Reptile Lagoon, there's a steakhouse, a convention center, and what seemed to be like some kind of a theme park, little tiny mini theme park, more like carnival style thing, but it didn't seem to be open today. Now, I've heard from a lot of people that the steakhouse is a really good place to eat and probably one of the better options over at south of the border. But you know me, I'm very picky when it comes to my food, and of course, I'm also on a budget, and the word steakhouse doesn't quite work when you're on a budget. So if I ever make it back to south of the border, I'll have to try the steakhouse. Especially because I love the fact that it's in the shape of a sombrero. This was also one of the busier places at south of the border when I visited. I came over in this area several times throughout my stay, and it always seemed to be kind of busy. Welcome to the Reptile Lagoon here at south of the border. I used to own and breed many reptiles and amphibians back in the day, so anytime I come across an attraction that's for reptiles and amphibians, I have to check it out. Here at the Reptile Lagoon, you'll see two giant statues of Pedro waiting to greet you as you enter. This place has neon everywhere on it, and it's very impressive at night. It's fairly well maintained, too, and yes, we will check this place out at night. All right, heading on in to the Reptile Lagoon. I was very excited to see this. It had started to rain, and I was just like, oh great, something that's indoors that I can enjoy while the rain passes through. You'll start out in their gift shop. They had a nice selection of things that were south of the border themed, but mainly Reptile Lagoon themed. I picked up a really cool alligator magnet that was also a bottle opener that said Reptile Lagoon on it while I was here. I really liked some of the cups and mugs that they had. Unfortunately, I have to be very selective on what I buy. I would have loved to have this one that said the Reptile Lagoon, but I have just way too many mugs and cups. I do remember the admission price being a little on the expensive side. Not outrageous or anything, but I kind of remember going, ooh, that's a little bit much. But I happily paid it because I wanted to support the place, and, you know, they're doing conservation for reptiles and amphibians, which I'm in favor of. And all of the exhibits in this place were immaculate. They were just spotless. One thing I would have liked to see is better lighting. It was pretty dark and dim in here, and I understand reptiles and amphibians, they tend to like it dark. You know, they're more nocturnal, so they're not going to be as active if you have it nice and brightly lit. But for being that they don't really see a whole lot of foot traffic in this place, and, you know, I was just shocked at how well it's been maintained. Leave a comment down below if any of you know what this room was. I was trying to figure it out, and it kind of seemed like maybe it was a little cafe at one time. Like, you know, you could go in and see all the reptiles and then sit down for a small meal. I don't know. They have all these, like, beautifully painted tables and booths and chairs in here, almost like from a Mexican restaurant. I don't know, seeing all this stuff sitting here just made me want Mexican food really, really bad. So, you know, a little bit later, we will venture out and try and find some Mexican food. As the sun began to set and the rain continued to roll through, we began to see some of the neon come to life. Now that the sun has set, I'm going to take you all around south of the border to show you this magnificent neon, although it was very disappointing to see that a lot of it wasn't being maintained very well. So I was getting pretty hungry by this point because I hadn't had any food all day, and I began to ask some of the locals working in the shops where a good place to eat was. I told them I'd really like to get some good Mexican food, but I guess what they think is good Mexican food and what I think is good Mexican food are two completely different things. And, you know, we're in the middle of nowhere, so there's not really a lot of choices around here. And being I'm at south of the border, I was expecting to get some amazing Mexican food. So we're going to head on over to the Burrito Loco and check that place out. All right, everyone, we are going to check out Burrito Loco, which is like Mexican street food. I don't know, I'm just hungry and I want Mexican food. I was hoping for like an actual full-on sit-down Mexican restaurant, but I don't think that this is it. I think this is more like a counter serve type thing. I don't know, I have no clue. Let's go in and check it out. All right, here is a look at your menu. We're gonna zoom in so you can see it. All right, so here is what I got. There is the total, not too bad. Although this is, you know, they kind of customized my burrito for me because I didn't see beef on the menu, but they have it. All right, here it is. We've got salsa, chips, very greasy, obviously, and a burrito, which is gonna have beef, beans, queso cheese inside. All right, so here are the chips. I don't think they're homemade, but you know, I'm not gonna complain. Well, the consistency and the color of the salsa looks gross, but it smells amazing. All right, you guys, the salsa, it's really good. The consistency of it needs to be thicker, and it's very like that fresh tomato vegetable-y taste, which I'm not really usually a fan of, but I think it's actually pretty good. It's got a little bit of a kick to it, but it's not, to me, it's not spicy. I know people that are spice wimps would be like, it's too hot. Excuse me, crazy old ladies who I am referring to. It's too hot. All right, so there's what the inside of the burrito looks like. Got your beef, refried beans, and your queso cheese. And I'm having to fork it because, as you can see, if I try and pick it up, it's just like this mushy blob. It doesn't really work. So I'm forking it, which, I mean, I guess you eat your, when you go to a Mexican restaurant, I eat my enchiladas with a fork. So I don't know why I thought I was gonna pick this up anyways. It's just, essentially, I've never figured out the difference between an enchilada and a burrito. Maybe it's just the size. Well, and I know one comes with that Reno sauce on it. So maybe that's, excuse me. Ooh, the beans are kicking in. Anyways, I think just the difference is size and the Reno sauce, and I don't know, we're forking it here, but it's, let's say, I've had better Mexican food. It's not disgusting, it is good. I don't know, I'll give you my thoughts at the end. So yeah, if this is your only option for a decent meal, well, I guess, you know, it could be worse. But if you have other options, I would definitely skip this place. Maybe drive a little bit of a distance to the nearest town. Like I said in the review, it wasn't disgusting or anything, but it definitely wasn't good Mexican food. I've had better Mexican food back home in Ohio. And that was really quite disappointing because you're at a Mexican-themed attraction and the Mexican food isn't all that good. I'm just grateful that God provided a meal. The South of the Border Motor Inn is definitely a must if you're passing through the area. Take a moment, stop, book a room, and spend the night. You won't regret it. Now, when I arrived at South of the Border, I knew that I would have to stay overnight somewhere because there was no way I would make it back home to Ohio that night. It was getting late, and I had like an almost 9-hour drive back home. But what I didn't realize is that I would find this amazing time portal straight back into the 1950s and 60s and would get a chance to stay here because the room prices were very reasonable. I don't remember exactly what it cost, but in 2023 it was somewhere around $65 to $80, right around in that ballpark, which is a really good deal for what I got. The architecture and charm of this motel is just off the charts. I mean, look at this awesome dome here. Staying here really did feel like I was going back in time to the beginning of early motoring, back when motels were a new concept. When I got to South of the Border and realized that I would need to stay over somewhere, I began using the travel booking sites, Kayak, Hotels.com, etc. And this place didn't show up on any of them. So as I was exploring South of the Border, I stumbled upon this place and I was like, oh, I wonder if I can actually afford this place. So I inquired at the front desk what room rates were.
I then told the person working the front desk that I couldn't find any information on this place or even what any of the rooms looked like. There was a security guard back behind the desk, and she offered to take me on tour to show me several of the rooms. It was amazing. She was super friendly, and I highly recommend that you check this place out. If I haven't said that enough, well, I don't know. I can't give this place high enough praise. So after touring 2 of the rooms, I picked one and booked a night at the south of the border Motor Inn.
I don't like the way this sounds. Ew. Whoa. That's a crazy dome effect. Holy crap.
Okay, so I filmed this obviously before nightfall came because I wanted, to have some good lighting so that we could actually see what we were looking at here. And although it's not sunny anymore, we can still at least see what the outside of the hotel looks like and get a good look at the inside of the room. So let's head inside and see what we got. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. So my initial impressions of the room were great. It's nice and roomy, has a very large, I believe that was a queen or a king bed, pretty big. The room is very clean, doesn't smell of smoke, just very, very vintage. I just love the vintage vibes. But at the same time, it's still nice and updated, got a fresh coat of paint on the wall. The furniture was in really good condition. Until you step over into the bathroom area and are transported straight back to the 1970s with that orange tile. It is so fantastic. And this would be a great room to book if you're a couple and you're staying together, because you've got that one bed. It's definitely big enough to have someone showering while someone else is out at the sink, maybe blow drying their hair or whatever. The only minor complaint I had was that the shower was kind of crampy and small, but, that's just kind of being really nitpicky because it was totally usable. You also get this little back patio that you can access from the bathroom area, which was pretty neat, and it leads directly over to the pool.
3 knobs? 3 knobs? Well, they're not knobs, they're handles, whatever. Hot, cold, mystery handle. Interesting. Oh my. Good morning, everyone!
The following morning, a thick, dense fog had settled in, enveloping the entire south of the border area. This made my experience even more magical because walking around, it was just so odd with all the thick fog. To get to experience sunny weather, then rainy weather, and now this thick fog was awesome. Now that the sun is up, I figured it was appropriate to take you around and give you a tour of this awesome motel and all of its cool features. It has an awesome pool with a big glass dome that I don't think I've ever seen at any motel or hotel. So enjoy the tour in the middle of this crazy fog. I know, it's going to sound so lame, but I was so sad to have to finally leave south of the border. It was so great staying here and being in like another time period, going back in time and experiencing just what life was like back in the 50s and 60s, back when the American road trip was at its peak. So I'm going to take you through south of the border one last time so we can see all of the buildings here in this crazy fog, and we'll also visit a couple of places that I haven't taken you to already. Mainly, I stopped by the gas station because I wanted to grab some snacks and drinks before heading out, and there were a few abandoned places too.
Thing for everyone out there from my YouTube
Hi.
channel, I'm documenting this
My name is
awesome place.
Nicole. We're at the S.O.B. Come down and shop with us. Get you some souvenirs from the S.O.B.
Come see all the S.O.B.
Yeah.
No, I'm not actually saying what you think I'm saying. SOB stands for south of the border. Come on, guys, get your brains out of the gutter. I had a great time while visiting south of the border. All of the locals that lived around here were super friendly. They extended their southern hospitality and charm, and it was just awesome. As I began to make my way out of the south of the border area, I stumbled upon a few abandoned places along the edge of south of the border. This was one of the first ones I came across. I think it was a car dealership at one time, but I'm not really sure. If you know what this place used to be, leave a comment down below. But on the sign, I think it said motor sales or cars or something relating to that. So that's what kind of clued me into the fact that this might have been a car dealership. I also stumbled upon this abandoned place, and I have no clue what it used to be. It's been abandoned for so long, you can't tell what it is. Anyways, you guys, I had a blast, and I hope you did too. If you're ever in the area, do stop by and check out south of the border and support it. If you want to help support the work that I do here and gain access to all kinds of member exclusives and extra content, then you can check out my channel memberships. There's the Patreon one, there's a link in the description box below, and there's also my YouTube channel membership. Become a part of the Tilt Squad and help to support the future of video. Thank you to all of my members who support the future of video. That's going to do it for this episode, and I will see everyone in the next one.